Hello. Unsurprisingly, a show named House of the Dragon has a lot of scenes that include dragons. Shocker, I know. I never really thought too much about how they brought these dragons to life. However, there are two scenes in recent episodes that caught my attention more than the others. The first being the scene where Baela and her dragon Moondancer chase after Criston Cole in the Crownlands, with the second being the Battle of Rook's Rest, where we see quite a performance between dragons Meleys, Vhagar, and Sunfyre. While I've always wondered how the show brought scenes like these to life, after watching both of these episodes, I needed to dive deeper to find out the details. Did they use both practical and visual effects together? How did they immerse the actors into the scenes? And what secret tricks were used to put it all together? I was quite surprised, not only by how complex creating these scenes was, but also the fact that they ensured it was scientifically accurate too. We'll get to the tricks they used to make it scientifically accurate and how all of it benefits the story as a whole in a moment, but first, let me take you through how they created the scenes from the ground up. In my search for information, I found a few interviews and breakdowns the production did to explain how they combined practical and visual effects to bring dragons to life for the episodes that would be their biggest to date. It was clear that the production would put all of their ideas and thoughts together, but it was ultimately going to be extremely VFX heavy to bring these ideas to life. Because of this, the production dedicated themselves to meticulously work through the logistics, heavy storyboarding, and fine details during production to set up the VFX team for success. Once they were ready to shoot, they started on a blue screen stage with a custom bucking rig of a dragon. It is similar to the likeness of a mechanical bull, but raised roughly 10 to 15 feet in the air. It's quite an impressive rig, as it could be programmed to move in any direction, simulate flaps of wing movement, and sudden changes in flight direction. Once this was built, the more complicated layers began to show as they started to consider logistical details that would ensure the immersion was scientifically accurate. They needed to consider variables like the scale of the scene, the size of the dragon, the speed at which it moves, and how the wind would move both around the dragon and the actor while flying at terminal velocity. Creating this rig and accounting for the details for accurate movement and wind was essential, as it created a high level of immersion for the actor. In a scene like this, there would be a lot of eyes on the acting, so it was important that they created the most realistic environment possible for the actors. Once it was time to shoot, they had a few more tools to fully bring this to life. First, they had robotic cameras on the rig that adjusted to every move of the actor. This allowed the crew to get any angle they needed with ease. It also added another layer of immersion for the viewer, as they could make the camera feel as if it was actually on the dragon. Secondly, while filming, they were able to take the footage in real time and apply it to a CG scene and Unreal Engine. This real-time previs of what they would see in post gave them a rough composition in the moment to be able to tweak and modify things, resulting in maximum efficiency. Previs is great for creating a visual reference prior to any scene, but was really helpful for the dragons fighting, as they wanted to base the dragons grappling from how birds of prey would do the same. Previs allowed them to accurately replicate this and simulate fire while spinning in midair perfectly. To close out their work in the blue screen stage, they filmed multiple passes in different lighting conditions. This would ensure post-production had the proper footage to overcome any lighting conditions they may face from the footage taken on location. Finally, the on-location work was the icing on the cake, as this is where they were able to add in the fire. The production created the bigger flames on a backlot with real fire instead of using CG. However, the smaller flames on set were a little bit more technical. They would bury a small line of incendiaries, which would ignite going roughly 15 feet in the air. Stunt actors would also wear clothing covered in an accelerant gel to safely be ignited in these scenes. All of this work is impressive, but even more so that it was filmed during the day. Setting the scene at night would make it easier to hide mistakes or sloppy CGI. However, the methods used and the skill behind it allowed them to push the bar even further with great confidence, leaving us with the final scenes that we see in the show. But even with all of this, my main question was, why does the production put in all of this effort into the dragons, especially during some of the smaller scenes? Sure, the easy answer is that a poorly put together scene would take the viewer out of the experience. However, I knew the production viewed this differently from other shows and movies. In this world, they knew they could get things like animation, interaction, and cadence of these scenes correct. However, that's what everyone else could do, so they wanted to focus on the fine details that others wouldn't think of to set themselves apart. Because of this, minor details were added like flies being attracted to the creatures, wear on the dragon's back from different generations of saddles being on the dragon, and different facial characteristics that show personality and age. Even taking into consideration the dragons leaving behind footprints as they move before taking off for flight. This was all done to not only make them realistic, but to put them in the world as their own recognizable characters with their own personalities, backgrounds, and stories. The production didn't want them to be just dragons. They wanted viewers to be able to create an emotional bond the same way we would with characters themselves in the show. Do you think this works? Let me know down below. Peace.